Okay, here we go. Hey, I'm live. Hi, everybody. Blessed be. It's the Zen Witch here. I hope you're hanging out online. It's almost 9 o'clock. I can't believe. No, wait. It's almost 8 o'clock. Damn, I'm confused. Okay. Anyway, um, I thought I would jump on. I want to start something new on Wednesdays. You've got your Tarot Mondays, you got your Oracle Fridays, and random shit here and there. I'm sure you know you tend to get like 4 videos in one day from me and then just Mondays and Fridays for months. But one of my viewers made a suggestion or asked a question um, about, hey, Shantae Joy, it's really good to see you here. One of my viewers put a question on a review saying, what about your library and your books? And you got to know I love my books. So this is going to be the first one. And I have like a fucking pile here already. And I think what I'll do is kind of do an overview of like the really influential ones and then do others on other Wednesdays. So I'm thinking of doing like a regular thing on Wednesdays, just as sort of a welcome to my library sort of thing, and then do a little bit deeper dive on those particular days. I'm trying to do something here. Okay, hush. I have my channel open on my other monitor because I've noticed that, there's a buffer and there's a lag. And when I get to the end of live streaming, I can't just click goodbye because it doesn't buffer that. It shuts off immediately. So I'm going to have to watch what's happening over here. But I don't have to worry about that until I'm ready to go. Whoop, whoop. Hi, Michelle. Yay. I figured, evening might be a great time to live stream because people are actually home and on it. So here we go. The piles here are like my big four. These are the ones, and on top are the earliest books that I got from them and the most influential. So these four are like the big ones. These are the ones that when I first started practicing and started learning, um, I just sucked these books up. I bought them and just, my brain was so ready for the information. And the authors here for these big four, we've got Starhawk, Janet and Stuart Farrer, Z Budapest, and Barbara G. Walker. And let's start with Starhawk here. They are all equally important to me. They all each have their own flavor. Starhawk is, she's definitely a witch of the new age. She's a counselor. She's a psychologist. And out in the West Coast, so there's a very West Coast flavor to her stuff. She's very, she's got a very Unitarian Universalist vibe that now I get it. When I was first reading her stuff, I was thinking, oh, it's kind of cheesy, and just the way she would name things, like instead of calling people disabled, she called them differently abled. And this was back in the 80s, 70s or 80s. Let me look at the copyright on this. And so that wasn't a normal thing. 1979 was the first copyright on this book. So the Spiral Dance, a rebirth of the ancient religion of the great goddess, rituals, invocations, exercises, magic. She really takes you through, this is a beginner's book. Let's take a look at the contents. Witchcraft as a goddess religion, the worldview of witchcraft, the coven, creating sacred space, the goddess, the god, magical symbols, energy, the cone of power, trance, initiation, moon rituals, wheel of the year, creating religion toward the future. And then this is the 10-year edition, 10th anniversary. So my first copy, I can't remember who I gave it to. It had a slightly different cover, and I passed it along to someone when the 10th anniversary came out because there was a commentary on these first 13 chapters here. Notice they have 13 chapters. So her stuff is excellent. She's very political. This woman has been arrested numerous times in protests going on around nuclear plants and stuff like that in California. So very politically active, very aware, very compassionate, very egalitarian. I will say all those things about her. And you can actually go online and find Reclaiming was the name of her coven. And there are actually recordings of chants from Reclaiming. And those chants are, I have to tell you an experience. I went to a women's herbal conference in 2013 and up in Wisconsin. And there were women there from all over the world. And it was, I can't remember whether it was the full or the new moon. I think it was the full. And there was a great little house, like a firehouse down next to the water, and, screen covered place with a big fire pit in the middle. And a bunch of us just sort of individually wandered down there to have a fire and to watch the moon on the water. And at a point, we started singing chants here and there. And there were some women there from South America. I can't remember exactly from where. I think it was Brazil. Might have been Venezuela. I don't really remember. But one of the women said, "Here's a chant that we learned." And she sang this chant to me in Spanish. And it was the exact same thing that I'd been singing for many years with a lot of different women. And so, I mean, these chants have gone out around the world, and they are part of the lexicon. They are part of the modern craft mindset and consciousness, and it's amazing. So do go look up Reclaiming and some of their chant recordings if you haven't been privileged to go to rituals and learn some of these things. I mean, things like, we are a circle within a circle with no beginning and never ending. That was like the first chant I ever learned, learning with a new coven. And those chants have gone all around the world. I will certainly do a video with some chants. I will certainly teach you some chants down the line. At any rate, there's Starhawk, and she talks a lot about, the psychology of magic and what's going on in your mind, and that really appeals to me because I need to know the why of things, and she doesn't get into really a lot of ancient history and the origins of like the original craft. She is a modern witch, and um, so that that is her context. And I'm looking at here her quarter calls, and if you've seen my Art of Ritual series, I just last week put up one on calling the quarters, and she does have a more Gardnerian feel to what she does, updated Gardnerian, less dogmatic Gardnerian. She's talking about quarter calls, and she's doing the Hail Guardians of the Watchtowers. So that's very Gardnerian. So here's an example. Guardians of the Watchtowers of the East, powers of air, we invoke you and call you. Golden Eagle of the Dawn, Star Seeker, Whirlwind, Rising Sun, come by the air that is her breath. Send forth your light, be here now. So these quarter calls she has here, they're very simple. They're really great templates to step off of in creating your own. And so she gives you, everything, the saltwater purification, the smoke cleansing ceremony, casting a circle, calling the quarters, raising energy, banishing that quarters. She takes each of the quarters on their own and tells you, what stands in each of those quarters and what the vibe is and what the elements are and all that kind of stuff. Pentacle meditations. She talks about just the 5 points of the pentagram and what they stand for. Like I said, I'm not going to go deep with these. I just want to go through. So this is still an absolutely excellent book. Here's The Goddess, The Charge of the Goddess, for a beginner. And I want to tell you, too, that I stopped buying books on the craft a couple of decades ago, like probably 3.5 decades ago, 2.5 decades ago, because I internalized and I don't really need to keep reading. So, there are whole crops of books and new authors that might be a little bit better for women that are younger, women that are in their 20s and starting out, and might speak to them a little bit more. These books are of my age, so they really spoke to me. I know Silver Ravenwolf has a shit ton of books, and I don't even know the other authors. Phyllis Curott, there's many, many, many authors and many, many books on the craft. So these are not the be all and end all. This is just my history with them. She talks about initiation, the wheel of the year. So again, excellent, excellent Spiral Dance by Starhawk. Fabulous starting book. Other ones that I have of hers: Dreaming the Dark, Magic, Sex, and Politics. This one is just more political. It's not really about ritual. She does talk about ritual, and she gives you some rituals and some bonding exercises and things, but it was more about the craft in a political sense. Then we have Truth or Dare, Encounters with Power, Authority, and Mastery. So, like I said, she's a witch that has been speaking truth to power for a long time. Seriously powerful shit in here. There's this chapter called The Dismembering of the World as opposed to the Remembering. And there is, I've got all kinds of things marked here. There is a chant here called The Holy Well and the Sacred Flame that I have used for Imolg rituals that will blow the fucking roof off the place and bring people like to sobbing tears. Amazing, amazing stuff. I'm messing up my table here. Then this one, The Pagan Book of Living and Dying. I would recommend this to anyone. Practical Rituals, Prayers, Blessings, and Meditations on Crossing Over. This is a full book on encountering death as a witch, as a pagan. Many, many stories. This talks about, she was on the front end of reclaiming funerals, and taking back the care of our dead, and looking at legally what people could do to bring the dead into their own home, to have wakes, to have home funerals and all that stuff. This is a fabulous book. So this, I think, is one that is a must-have. Whether you've got your other, starting pagan books, this one specifically dealing with death and dying is a must-have. Okay, next up, Janet and Stuart Farrer. This is where you're going to get more of the European British tradition of the craft. This is Gardnerian Wicca. It is, a purist, a more purist form of the craft, and definitely more dogmatic. They do things in balanced covens. It's got to be equal number men and women, alternating man, woman. Everything is shared equally, and it's very egalitarian and wonderful in that way, but also very dogmatic in that way. And you can see kind of the roots of the craft in Europe and in England through these books, because the emphasis on secrecy, the emphasis on, only sharing certain things with initiates, and way back when, you didn't go to a ritual until you were initiated. That was like your first ritual. You might have gotten a little bit of preliminary teaching, but you were not allowed to learn anything real until you were an initiate of the craft. And that's kind of a dangerous thing, really, because you initiate somebody and you just don't really know. I will do a whole video on my experiences with initiation. It's something not to be taken lightly. That's for damn sure. So, Witch's Bible Complete. This has two, like volumes 1 and 2. Volume 1, and this is published, 1981. So actually, wow, fucking A. Starhawk was published before this. Now, that shouldn't be so astonishing, because this, I'm sure, was in existence long before it was published. And I kind of get the sense that the Gardnerians may have said, fuck no, you never and I'm sure there was probably some knockdown, drag out fights about whether or not to publish this stuff because of the emphasis on secrecy. But I have a feeling that when the other books started coming out, there might have been a reckoning of, if we don't put this information out, it's going to go out in a bastardized or a watered down fashion. And if we want it out in its true form, here it comes. So we have the frame, the opening ritual, the great rite, the closing ritual. We have the sabbats. We have birth, marriage, and death. So Wiccaning, hand fasting, and requiem. And that's the first book. And then you go to the second book, which is Bible Volume 2, which is first degree initiation, second degree initiation, third degree initiation, consecrations, the rest of the Book of Shadows, more Wiccan rituals, drawing down the sun, three goddesses, rite of the 13 megaliths, rituals, protection, seashore ritual, and the Wiccan path. So then you really get more just raw information, the rationale of witchcraft, beliefs on reincarnation, the ethics, myth, ritual, and symbolism, witchcraft and sex. Many mansions on running a coven, naked in your rites, clairvoyance, divination, astral projection, healing spells, self-initiation, the witch's tools, in tune with the land and in tune with the times. So, and this one they were published at the same time, 1981. 81 and 84. So again, you're going to get more of the European flavor, and I will just say British craft here. Other books of theirs that I actually like better. This one, and as you can see, I finally covered these with some contact paper, like when they were ready to fall apart. So these books have been down a long, long road. This one, I had to put the covers back on because this front cover was totally fallen off. And you can see I like scotch taped it on before I put the contact paper on. But the Witch's Goddess and the Witch's God, which you can see has a lot less wear. Gee, I wonder why. Because I'm a priestess of the goddess. That's why. These two books are the must-haves. The Witch's Bible Complete you can get if you're really interested in doing Gardnerian Wicca. Again, you're going to get all the wonderful wealth of the way they do ritual, and you can compare that to Starhawk, the way she does ritual, stuff like that. But this is the real resource here. So we have Discovering the Goddess in history, Earth Mother, Bright and Dark Mother, Menstruating Goddess, Triple Goddess, Moon Goddess, Blessed Among Women, Psyche and Goddess, Woman as Goddess, some Goddess recipes, the Goddess Today, and the Grail. And then we have actual rituals to specific goddesses, Demeter and Persephone breed, Ishtar, Aphrodite, Hecate, Lilith and Eve, Epona, Mot, Arianrhod, Aradia, and Isis. But here's the big part. Part 3, Goddesses of the World. We have an A to Z. We have an A to Z listing of, I would say, mostly European. We do have some Asian in there. We do have some Native American, but I would say mostly the pagan traditions of Europe, and then we do have some Asia. And, let's face it, the paganism, the craft today, especially as I practice it, is really a shoot that came out of Europe. We can wrestle with the definition of paganism. Pagan to me means organic religion. It means immanence, and Starhawk talks about immanence, I-M-A. I can't remember if I think it's two M's. I-M-M-A-N-E-N-C-E, immanence, or A-N-C, whatever. Immanence meaning indwelling, meaning the gods live inside us. So thou art God, thou art goddess are statements of the craft in that we are saying God and goddess live inside of us. We are the gods in human form. We are the gods coming onto this planet to be clothed in earth so that we can celebrate, so that we can have senses to celebrate our creation. We can celebrate our creation with our senses, with sensuality. That's what the craft is to me. It's the recognition of the gods of God that dwells inside me. So there are many religions that have this same feeling that would not call themselves pagan. So when I say paganism, I'm really talking about these religions that have come out of Europe, these earth-based religions. Let's face it, Native American traditions are earth-based. They do not consider themselves pagan. And it's because when they encountered Europeans, the term pagan had an entirely different meaning. It meant godless. It meant evil. So, and the origin of the word pagan is payan. It means people from the country, people that live in the country. Same with heathen, people that live out on the heath, people that have a direct relationship to the cycles of nature and whose lives are directly tied to those cycles of nature, and therefore that's where they find sacredness. It is not about God being outside of us. Okay, the authors of the Goddess book, this is Janet and Stuart Farrar, Farrar. So again, the like, let's just take a page here of the H's. Hala, that's Teutonic. Holy Spirit, that's Hebrew and Gnostic. Horta is Etruscan. The Hore are Greek. Si Ho is Chinese. Si Wang Mu is Chinese. Huber, Assyro-Babylonian. Oh God, here we go. Huixtoquehuatl, that's Aztec, but they don't have like, I don't think they have things like Changing Woman and White Buffalo Calf Woman and ones that come out of like the North American native traditions. And no change. And there's like Changos, so there's African. So there is plenty. I mean, you can't get all the gods and goddesses in one book, let's face it. And there's plenty, plenty, plenty. We go from here to Lala. So there. This much of the book, 290, 189, 100 pages of the book is the listing of goddesses. Witch's god is the same thing. We go through what the god represents in paganism. Sun lover, time measuring god, the sun god, the wisdom god, vegetation god, war god, craftsman god, horn god, oak king and holly king, the sacrifice god, the underworld god, the monopolist god, the anti-god. Some god recipes, the grass widower, restoring the balance, and then Pan, Osiris, Tammuz, Thoth, Heron, Cernunnos, Shiva, the Dagda, Loki, Zeus, Eros, Ra, and Amun-Ra, Wayland and Smith, and then the gods of the world. So these are must-haves. Witch's god, witch's goddess are absolute must-haves for your library. Spells and How They Work is also an excellent book. You see all the tags I got in here? See all those little little things, and then I've tucked things in here, some planetary squares and numerical squares and things. This is a good book too. This is an excellent book. I mean, anything of theirs is going to be really good. But I would not call this a must-have. I would call these two a must-have. And you know, there's kind of a dividing line here too between the religion of the craft and the magic part. You know, they're inseparable in that you better be invoking deity when you're doing spell work. But there are people that are more into craft as a craft as such, doing spells, making herbal things, doing those kind of things, and more that are, for instance, me, because I'm a priestess, I am a licensed minister. So I am very much interested in the spiritual aspect, in the divine, you know, in the deities and how it functions as a religion for people. That's my job as a priestess, is to help you find your way to a religious practice that works for you, that vibes with you, that is representative of your beliefs, and that works for you. So those are the Farrars. I'll put those on the stack. Now, ba, 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 ba. I might have said that some of these others are my favorites, but I think that if I look at all of them, the one that I most closely vibe with is Z Budapest. Z Budapest is truly a traditional witch. Her mother was a witch. She's Hungarian. She lives in California now and has for a long, long time. But her mother was a witch, and her mother's family, they were traditional witches. And when the Inquisition came through, and you know, the whatevers came through, the priests came through, her family went and hid. They went up into the mountains and they hid. And so the tradition was not broken, and it came down to her in pure form. And what you get with Z, it's almost diametrically opposed to what you get with the Farrars. The Farrars, this is the way you do ritual. Nobody leaves the circle without you cutting a doorway. It's male, female, male, female, male, female around the circle. So, first of all, the thing that really vibes with me about Z Budapest is she is the founder of Dianic Wicca. Dianic Wicca is goddess worship. It's for women, it's about the goddess. And that's always where I have been. So, I've had men over the years come to me mostly whining, mostly accusing. And this is, I'm talking about, back in the 80s and the early 90s of, well, what about us? What about me? And the thing that I was really unprepared for when I started running a women's temple and when I started doing women's ritual was the jealousy and the anger that came from pagan men, not Christians, not the fundies, pagan men. I have been accused of being a man hater more times than I can tell you because I do women's ritual, because these men were incapable of understanding that women have things of their own and that we get together to be with each other. I have encountered so many men directly aimed at me and through women coming to ritual who either stopped coming to ritual or were having a hard time coming because of the kick up they were getting from their partners. And it seems like the common, assumption of these guys is that we were getting together in order to talk shit about them. That our getting together in ritual was all about them. We were talking smack about them. They were going to lose their wives because, and it just blew my mind that they couldn't grok that women had something of their own. And here's where we get to what I call the crux of the biscuit. Hey, there we go. That's a little bit better. Of why women have been persecuted since the beginning of time. I mean, first off, that's too bright. There. First off, we can bleed and not even get sick, let alone die. We can retain that blood and produce a new human being and do that without, dying. And that's big fucking magic. And from the beginning of time, when men did not understand the role they had in the giving of life, it was big magic and it engendered a lot of fear. And what happens when we fear something, we want to control it? Well, that's still in place, ladies, in case you hadn't noticed. The whole anti-abortion movement is an offshoot of that. It is the disempowered male, because they are disempowered. Patriarchy has disempowered them as effectively as it has disempowered women. In fact, it might even be more insidious because they think they're still powerful. But it is an offshoot because it's the men's attempt still to have control over childbearing. And they do, but they don't see it. Anyway, I'm not gonna head any further down that road. Let's go back to talking about Z Budapest. So it's feminist witchcraft, goddess rituals. She is a force of nature. Her rituals are wild and free. And so she starts with feminist witchcraft, the politics of women's religion, the turning of the tide, how we lost it, the sloth woman as ancient magician. It's almost like this book is kind of like a series of essays more than a continual thing. We've got, in fact, I want to go here because there's one little one here, The Dangers of Magic by Starhawk. I think I'm going to read this to you. Start screaming if you don't want to hear it, you two. I think there's only the two of you there. There are real dangers to the practice of magic, most of them found within ourselves, particularly before we have a full and deep understanding of how magic works. I've listed here some of the major problems which trip us up, with some suggestions for protection. However, it is a necessary part of everyone's magical education to occasionally fall victim to one's character traits. We all find ourselves ego tripping, do gooding, showing off, and all the rest from time to time. There is a thing called high priestess syndrome, by the way. But how else could we learn compassion and tolerance for others who go off on the same tangents? Falling victim to one's own illusions eventually confers a sort of immunity, much like the rest of it, the result of a childhood disease, and with luck, recovery is rapid and complete. Here, then, are the mumps and measles of magic. Omnipotence. This is quite common when first discovering that your will can affect events. You may feel a tremendous rush of power and believe that you can do anything and everything. Experience will cure this fallacy quickly. However, but the condition of omnipotence can lead to guilt. You may believe you can do everything, but sooner or later you will fail. Sometimes it is the people you care about most whom you are unable to help, unless you realize that magic has its limitations and works within the framework of laws, just as standard medical science does. You run the risk of feeling responsible for everything that goes wrong in the universe. Relax. You are not that powerful, nor are you that important. That's really big. Paranoia. As your awareness grows and you become more conscious of negative energy and impulses in others, you may become oversensitive and begin jumping at shadows and protecting against dangers that don't exist. This is where you start going into superstition, by the way. There is also the dodge of ascribing every negative thing that happens to you to psychic attack. This is huge. I've heard many, many people talk about, I'm under psychic attack. Somebody's doing, all this bullshit. So again, we start getting into superstition here. A healthy stream of cynicism is a good defense against this one. Remember that magic that is real rarely conflicts with common sense. If you feel beset by evil forces, look within yourself to see what's drawing them. Saintliness. It's hard to resist the temptation to be more spiritual than thou, to offer unasked for advice to your acquaintances. That's huge, especially when you're a reader. Took me a very uncomfortable episode to learn that when someone is calling me to talk about things, so now I ask, do you just need to vent or do you want advice? Because unwanted advice sucks. Okay, and I was a giver of it many, many, many times. To offer unasked for advice to your acquaintances and to look down on others who have not seen the light, all the while trying to appear humble. With any luck at all, you'll come back to earth before you lose all your friends. Showing off. This, like saintliness, is hard to resist, and there is a rule in the craft about this: never boast, never threaten. Very simple. No explanations needed. Never boast, never threaten. Okay. When the fanatic Jehovah's Witnesses in your chemistry class spouts off about religion, how can you not tell her you're a hypocrite? You see a hypocritical green spot in her aura. With painful experience, however, you'll discover that people will not hear or listen to your advice or commentary unless they've asked for it. This is why people ask a question when doing a tarot reading. This is why you don't do readings for somebody that's been dragged there kicking and screaming, because their mind is closed. And they're not going to hear whatever you have to say, no matter how good it is. And that magic only works when it's real, not for show. Going half astral. Half astral. When you get so caught up in magic and psychic work that you neglect the earthly plane in your physical body, you will become drained and weakened. In extreme cases, people who lose touch too completely with Earth can have what amounts to a psychotic break. This is easily avoided, however, by making certain you stay grounded and centered when you do any magical work or meditations. Also, it's vital to have a satisfying and rewarding Earth plane life, including a good sex life and a love of good food. It's also really important to understand that magic comes through you and out through your body. So, the thing about doing a spell to pass a test, it ain't going to work unless you study. Period. You've got to do the ground level work if you want the ethereal level work to work, actually. The craft should not cause any loss of pleasure or ability to function in your daily life. On the contrary, pleasure and capabilities in ordinary things should only be heightened by your increasing awareness. Your very best protection against all of these ills and any others you may meet physically or psychically is to maintain your sense of humor. Don't take yourself too fucking seriously, or you're asking for it. I know all of this from experience. As long as you laugh at yourself, you cannot head too far down the wrong path, and you always have an immediate ticket back to truth. Whenever you find you are taking yourself too seriously, whenever you meet someone or something who encourages you to do so, beware. Remember, laughter is the key to sanity. And this was like the high priestess. Pardon me, I just had dinner. And it was great. It was like Middle Eastern kofta skillet with this tzatziki sauce and shit tons of garlic. So I might be burping in your ear a little bit. Thank God you can't smell them. Anyway, um, high priestess syndrome is when a person, the priestess running a coven starts to take herself too seriously. And it usually happens because the people in the coven start to put her on a pedestal and start to look at her as more than human. And I've seen this in varying levels. I've seen it in narcissism. I've seen it in ways that were just puke worthy. People fawning over someone, hand stroking doe eyes. I mean, it's gross. It's really gross. And I've also encountered this, even though I've only run a baby coven once, and I ran a women's temple that wasn't actually a coven. It was just um, people coming on a monthly basis, but it was open. Anybody could come. And then Mother Drum, which we called the Easy Bake Coven, for 8 years, that was an open ritual, and we did big ass magic there. But it wasn't a closed coven per se. But even so, I have encountered this where women get intimidated. And fuck it, I'm a Plutonian. I have Scorpio rising. Pluto rules that. It sits on my midheaven in Leo, and I'm fucking intimidating, okay? I can't fucking help it. No matter what I do, I can't help it. This is who I am. But the people that are intimidated by that, yeah, I can tell when somebody's put me on a pedestal, and I can try to be like friends with someone and sort of make an attempt to have a closer friendship and share life stuff, and then something kind of happens and it doesn't work. And I finally come to the understanding that they don't see me as friend material. They see me as a priestess. They see me as something other than me, a human being looking for a friendship. So it can be lonely. And this aspect, especially the Pluto moon opposition that I have, is called the lone wolf aspect. It's the truth. I've had very few real friends in my life, but they're still my friends and have been my friends for almost my whole life. And I don't need any others. I go deep. I don't go broad. I go deep. So anyway, that's a little bit about high priestess syndrome. So now she's talking about tools of the craft and psychic tools. Why should a woman cast a spell? The basic witchy setup, how to cast a circle. And she does give you quarter calls. She gives you all this kind of stuff. But here's what else she gives you. So we have Dianic tradition and the rites of life, Dianic Genesis affirmations, the tradition, celebrating the holy days of the earth. So she gives you the wheel of the year. And hers are based in Roman, like the gods are Roman gods. And that really ancient thread of paganism. And then she has women's holidays in the Dianic tradition. So there's Feralia and Lupercalia, which is fertility festival. Diasia, the ward off poverty festival. Anthostaria is the spring festival. Thargelia is the festival of the first fruits. So she goes through all these. The Thesmophoria is the festival of women's rights. There's one called Stenia, which is the bitching festival, which is awesome. Then she talks about the goddess and the god. She talks about prophecy and doing readings and astrology and tarot and runes and stuff. The politics of food, witches, covens, shamans, magic and ritual, shamanism throughout history. Masika's Book of Life. Masika was her mother, who was an artist. So this is what she learned from her mother, the goddess of 10,000 names. So there's a lot about 3-in-1, Luna, signs and symbols, spells and creativity, the oldest profession, the fall, epilogue, conclusion, day year calendar, all that. So she is, like I said, she is no holds barred. She is unapologetic and uncompromised. She has rituals in here to bring down a rapist. She has rituals of rage. So there, like I said, there are no holds barred with hers. She's certainly is ethical, but she's fearless. She's fearless and she's Dianic and she's amazing. And here are her two other books that I think these should probably be must-haves. We have Grandmother Moon and the Grandmother of Time. So this is a Sun Festival book, and each chapter has, um, God, I've got myself boxed in here. We've got, okay, April. So she's got Aphrodite as the goddess of April, and she has the goddess speaks, and then April aspects. So she talks about the full moon of April and what it means, and the events and messages. And then she has Anna's spells, rituals, and celebrations for April. And we have Hudo dance. We have blessing on your genitals, blessing on lovers, devotion for the dead. Haloa is a Greek festival. The holidays. So April 1st, Veneralia, the Battle of the Flowers, Megalesia. So all of these old pagan European rituals and what dates they belong to. The April story, spirit belongs to my mother, so she has a personal story. And then onward. So that is the Wheel of the Year. This is the 13 moons. And cold moon, quickening moon, storm, wind, flowers, strong sun, blessing, corn, harvest, blood, morning, long nights, and blue moon. So you've got the lunar festivals there. And like I said, she is something else. I will tell you. All right. Now, this, if you're interested in the history of the craft, drawing down the moon, I mean, the history of the modern craft, because let's face it, what we do is a modern construct. What we are doing these days, wait, let me get this fucking stack out of my way. No, fuck. Okay, down you go. It's a modern construct. We have, we know partially what they did in the old days, but, this is where I still grieve the burning of the library at Alexandria, because goddess, what did we lose? So drawing down the moon here is an anthology. Margot Adler, who has since passed, may she rest in peace, may she rest in power. Witches, druids, goddess worshippers, and other pagans in America today. This is 1979 is the copyright here, so same as when Starhawk was publishing. And I'm looking at Lasso the Moon here, where I got it from. I missed that store. Okay, so we have the background, paganism and prejudice, religion without converts, the pagan worldview, witches, the craft today, interview with a modern witch, magic and ritual, women, feminism and the craft, other neo-pagans, pagan reconstructionists, the Church of All Worlds. So here's where I want to say too, other books. If you have never read Stranger in a Strange Land, I mean, parts of it are getting a little dated now. Still, what a fabulous story. And you heard me use the word grok earlier, Grok. Grok is a word from that book, and you can identify people by throwing that word out and see who recognizes it. I'm looking because tomorrow morning at, I think, 6:45 is the exact full moon. So tonight is full moon. So I'm really happy sharing these with you on the full moon. And when she starts, if I'm still on here, when she starts coming up over the hill, I will show her to you. She's probably up, but we live at the base of a hill, and so it takes her a while to come up. And this will be kind of happy, sad. This will be the last full moon that I really get to see through the woods, because next month all the trees will be in full leaf, and I don't get to see the full moon coming up if I'm at home after that point. So I love when the leaves come in on the trees, but I love even more when the trees are bare, because I can see the moon coming up. And one of my favorite things in the entire world is full moonlight through the woods on snow. And I miss that in the summer. So anyway, okay. So drawing down the moon gives us a broader view of the modern craft, rituals of paradox and play, radical fairies, the growth of men's spirituality. So this was the gay pagan movement, the material plane, scholars, writers, journalists, and the occult living on the earth. So that's a good book. Like I said, if you want to know more about the origins of the modern day craft and who the movers and shakers are and were. Now, Barbara Walker. The Woman's Encyclopedia of Myths and Secrets is a must have for every woman on the planet, witch or not witch. If you have this book and you're not a witch, you will be by the time you're done reading. You will be pissed off beyond what you thought your ability to be pissed off is when you start reading this book. It is an encyclopedia, so you look at entries. So I flipped right open to the entry on motherhood. Certainly not going to read that. I'm not going to read any of these. But if you go through this book and maybe look up marriage and look up rape, you are going to go on a hell of a journey. And you're going to learn some things that, first of all, you're going to be saying, why the fuck did I never hear this before? Why did I not know this? But this is a compendium of what's been lost, what's been kept secret, what's been pushed out of consciousness, and do it. And yes, Michelle, there it is, women's rituals. It's so funny because when you read the rituals in here, they're all very simple. And you go, yeah, okay, well, that doesn't sound like much. But when you do them, it's an entirely different thing. So a lot of great women's rituals, great activities to do. We've done this one with the, where is it here? Where you have a ball of yarn. And it works better with more women. A ball of yarn or twine, and you throw it back and forth, wrap it around your waist and throw it, wrap it around waist and throw it. So you have this web in the center, and if you have enough women doing this, you can actually have someone lie back on this web, and all the women sort of lean back and pull on the web and pull on the strings and can bear this woman up on this web, and boy, can you do some big magic there. So she's got really great rituals. She has, Barbara Walker also has a tarot deck that I need to review. I've had it for a long, long time. So she's got ones on the Wheel of the Year. This, however, this one is the big. Please get this book and please read. I kept it in the bathroom for a while, and then I got tired of starting my day like really pissed off. So, yeah, she is very level-headed. I see that, Michelle. She's down to earth. She's a scholar. She is a scholar. So from Barbara Walker, you're going to get the scholarly stuff. In fact, a little bit too much, because with her tarot deck, there's a book called The Secrets of the Tarot that goes with it. And you are going to get, oh, holy shit. You're going to get the history. When you look at the major arcana and start reading the history behind it, unbelievable. Pope Joan. First I ever heard about Pope Joan was from Barbara fucking Walker, because of reading her tarot book. If you never heard of Pope Joan, Google it. This one is the other one, Symbols and Sacred Objects. And I think I might have actually had this one first. I don't remember. Let me look at the copyright on this one. This one is 1988. And this is... I mean, does it really matter? Not really, but what the hell. 1983. Okay, so this one came first. But the Symbols and Sacred Objects is excellent. Like if you're doing magic, if you're looking for symbolism, if you're looking to make sigils. Look at this. The sigil for sin, the sigil of the sun goddess, Mercury, number of the beast. There's planets. These are deity signs. Ritual interlacement patterns. So the chapters are like, here, let's look. So Women's Dictionary of Symbols and Sacred Objects, Women's Encyclopedia of Myths and Secrets. We have round and oval motifs, long motifs, three-way, four-way, multi-pointed, sacred objects, secular sacred objects, rituals, deity signs, supernatural, zodiac, body parts, nature, animals, birds, insects, flowers, plants, trees, fruit and foodstuffs, minerals, stones, and shells. So anything you want to look up and find out more about, or you need to see the symbol of, is going to be in here. This was really great when I was doing henna a lot. Okay, let's see. I think I'm going to grab a couple more here. Hold on. Talk amongst yourselves. Oh, hi, Butterfly Magic with hot tea. Yay! I'm glad you're here too. I'll be right back. Secrets of the Tarot. All right. As I do these things on Wednesdays, if I'm going to start doing library tours, I will do like a section on here are the herbal books I have. I will do a section on here are the books on Buddhism I have, because that is a big part of my practice. I will do a section on, books about meditation and resource books. And I have a couple books which are like the gods and goddesses of the world that you can look up all kinds of stuff. And I've also given away a good bunch of them to a Theosophical Society library, because I had books in my library that it was like, you know what, I'm not using these. And then some of them I've missed, some of them I don't. Some of them I thought I gave away and then I didn't. So I I have a full wall bookshelf to my left here, and it's one, two, three, four, five shelves, and they're like the shelves are, 2 inches wide, heavy, heavy beams to hold all my books and my cards and shit. So here, um, magically, I have a whole bunch more, many more herbal books on medicinal herbs. But if we're since we're talking magic here, um, oh, tea ceremony. Yes, I studied Japanese tea ceremony for 3 years. That's an amazing practice too. Okay, so Cunningham's Encyclopedia of Magical Herbs. This is also a must-have. This is Llewellyn, published by Llewellyn. Let's see what the copyright is on this one. This is, why do they make it so hard to find? 1985. Okay, so this one is all about herbs for a magical purpose. So if you're making a sachet to wear, if you are making a blend to burn, for a particular thing, we have the alphabetical listing, and he does have like some basics in the beginning. Can you tell this book has been around moisture? I'm thinking this might have been one of the ones I used in the bathtub a lot. Okay, let's see here. Butterfly, having a passion for books and reading is a prerequisite to magic. But yeah, I heartily agree with you, my love. Okay. Magical ways. So he talks about timing, tools, the altar, visualization, magical principles. Excuse me, I'm taking my socks off because suddenly I'm hot as fuck. And I think I see her. I think I see her coming up. Hold on, you guys. Let me see if I can do this for you. Okay, let's look out the window. See that little bit of light right there? Right there? I can see her better from where I am. That little tiny speck of light right in the middle is the moon coming up. You will see her better in a couple of minutes. That makes me really happy that I can share that with you. This is like the best thing I can think of doing on this full moon right now. So, back to Cunningham's. Then we have part one, the basics, the powers of herbs, magical ways. Oh, we just went through that. Okay. And then he's got sections here. Let's look here. Magical principles. Okay, spells and procedures, enchanting herbs. So how to kind of energize them. Talking about gathering herbs, and probably, unless you have a garden, you're not going to be going out and really wild crafting most of your herbs, I would imagine. But there's a little thing, to ask the plant's permission. I gather you rosemary, herb of the sun, to increase my mental powers and concentration. So you're using your intention as you're actually gathering the herbs. Attunement, enchantment, magical procedures, sachets, puppets. Infusion, ointments, oils, incense, 4 all-purpose spells, the earth spell, the air spell, the fire spell, the water spell. And let me give you a nutshell of these, okay? The earth spell, place the appropriate enchanted herbs in a bag and take to a wild place. With your hands, dig a small hole in the earth, put the herbs into it, visualize your needs strongly, cover the herbs over, and leave the area. It is done. So an earth spell is burying something. You give an offering to the earth. Spell work requires sacrifice. Even though in the charge of the goddess it says, "Nor do I demand aught of sacrifice," it means that we're not sacrificing to the gods, but you have to give to get. There's an energy exchange. So when you're doing an earth spell, you're giving something to the earth. You're burying something in the earth, and you want to do earth spells for things that involve earth things like money and health and food and getting a new house and things that deal in the material realm. Air spell. Stand in an open place atop a hill or mountain, far from tall trees, buildings, and other hills. Hold the appropriate enchanted herbs in your power hand, and facing north, blow a little of them to that direction. Turn east, repeat the spell, then do south, and then do west. At the west, blow all the herbs from your hand. Visualize your needs strongly, so you're giving it to the air. And of course, air spells are going to be things that deal with the intellect, with your knowledge of things, with communication. Okay, fire spell. And best air spell in the world is whispering on the wind. That's my favorite one. If it's really windy and rocking outside, I will go out and pray. I will whisper my prayers and I will just whisper into the wind and feel it go. Okay, fire spell. All right, let me see. Let me look at your just typing that book must have seen some kitchen duty. Okay. All right, fire spell. Write or make a symbol of your need on a piece of paper. Cut into a triangle. While visualizing your need, place the appropriate enchanted herbs in the center of the paper. Crumble it lightly so that the herbs are inside the paper. Build a roaring fire. Throw the herb packet into the fire. You don't even need to make a packet, but I like the idea of having the triangle, and actually you can write your intention on that triangle and put the herbs on it. So they don't say writing, but they talk about, just visualizing your need. Fucking write on it. Hell yes. The more forms, the more places in your brain you can involve in your spell work, the more powerful and fast that spell work will be. So throw that in the fire. And of course, fire spells are going to be for creativity, for passion, for things that you really need to move. You need these things to get moving in your life. You're going to do a fire spell. Water spell. Take the appropriate enchanted herbs to a river, spring, lake, or seashore. Hold them tightly in your power hand. Visualize your need, and with a sweeping motion, scatter them into the water. Absolutely. Water spells are going to deal with connection, emotion, release, grieving, joy, all that stuff. So there you go. And then we have magical intentions: protection, love, exorcism, healing, health, hex breaking, fidelity, luck, lust, manifestations, money, wishes. And then we got the herbs, the herbs. And for each herb you will get the Latin name, you will get the gender, the planet, the element, the powers, the magical uses. And then some of them, there are ritual uses. Some of them you will get folk names as well. So let's find one. Let's just flip here and find out. Burdock. So here's burdock. The folk names are Bardana, Beggar's Buttons, Burseed, Clotbur, Cocklebur, Great Burdock, Happy Major, Hardock, Herber, sorry, herder. Personata. The gender is feminine, the planet is Venus, the element is water. The powers are protection and healing. Magical uses: cast around the home to ward off negativity, add to protection incenses and use in such spells. Gather burdock roots in the waning moon, dry and then cut them into small pieces. String these on a red thread like beads and wear for protection against evil and negativity. The leaves of the burdock, when laid to the soles of the feet, help to cure gout. So you will get some folkloric medicinal things in here too. I would not use this as a reference for healing herbs. I would use this for its purpose, which is magical herbs. So you have the whole listing, alphabetical listing of the herbs, and then you've got the tables in the back. So we have by gender, so masculine herbs, feminine herbs. We have planetary rulers. We have elemental. We have purposes and for intentions, magical intentions, astral projection, beauty, chastity, courage, dead, raising the dead, divination, employment, exorcism, fertility, fidelity, friendships, gossip, happiness, healing, health, hexes, hunting, image magic, immortality, infertility, invisibility, legal matters, locks, longevity, love, many, many, many for love, love spells, divination of love, luck, lust, something to decrease lust, manifestations, thought of Buffy, Willow, a delusting spell. Who else is a Buffy fan? Are there any Buffy fans out there? You know, I might have to do a video about all the things that I'm a fangirl of. Meditation, mental powers, money, peace, power, prophetic dreams, prosperity, protection, psychic powers, purification, rain, sexual potency, sleep, snakes, snakes and snakes, to call snakes, to enrage snakes, to repel snakes, spirit, spirituality, strength, success, theft, visions, wind, wisdom, wishes, youth. And then we've got a glossary at the end and an appendix and places to order things. Of course, a lot of these places are probably going to be gone by now. And then you've got a cross-reference of folk names. So you can look up a folk name in the back and get the Latin name. This book I haven't had for that long. And I'm really glad I got it. This is another Scott Cunningham, Wicca, Living Wicca, and the Complete Book of Incense, Oils, and Brews. And that's why I bought the book, because, you know, these are his books on the craft. I have not read them. I've looked, you know, in for references here. So same thing, Wicca and shamanism, the deities, magic and tools, music, dance, and gesture. Ooh, there's some stuff worth reading there. Exercises, magical techniques. I definitely want to read about music, dance, and gesture. And then we have Living Wicca, which I don't know where that one starts. Okay, starts after this. There we go. Further guide for the solitary practitioner. So, you know, when a lot of other books like Starhawk and like The Farers and like Z Budapest are really centered around coven work and, you know, getting a coven together, this Scott Cunningham is more in the realm of being a solitary practitioner. And then, and looky here, this is really great. Wiccan symbols. Look at these symbols. So if you need ideas for sigils, look at that. These are great. Goddess position, the god position, a sword and a thame, the balefire, just these lovely linear symbols of these great magical things. Maiden Mother Crone. Isn't that lovely? Cakes and wine. So when you're writing out a ritual, you can use these little symbols for things. There's the elementals. Interesting. I've never seen these. These are the ones I've always seen. That fire and water. So the upward pointing triangle of fire. If you ever get confused as to what's what, fire is masculine, water is feminine. The upward pointing triangle is masculine. Try to figure out why. The downward pointing triangle is feminine. Try to figure out why. Common sense. Magic is common sense. And then we have the line at the top of the earth and the air ones. Air is upward pointing because it's masculine, but there's the line because those are like the lesser ones. Those are the lesser. This is the active. This is the passive. This is the passive active. This is the active passive. Go into a whole lecture there. I've never seen these symbols for the four. The earth is great. That makes so much sense. 4 square. Air with the dot in the middle is confusing to me because that's the symbol of the sun in astrology. So I might have to think hard about that. Fire there and water with the circle. And then these are just a little bit more graphically descriptive. Then we got the planets and we got the, are you coming up, honey? So she just peeked through a little bit and now I'm going to have to wait. And it actually looks like we're clouding up because why the fuck not? I looked at this gorgeous clear day and said, yay, we're going to get to see the moon tonight. Maybe not. Okay. Sunrise, sunset, moonrise, moonset, spells, rebirth. So many, 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 many. Wow. Okay. Ooh, this one's to cause sleep. Zzz. To excel in interviews. So all kinds of great symbols. And then let's get to the one that I bought it for, which is the Complete Book of Incense, Oils, and Brews. So he has directions in here on how to make all of these things, on how to mix powdered incenses, on how to make stick incenses, how to make cone incenses, all the things that you need to do that, how to make oils, ointments, inks, tinctures, herb baths, bath salts, brews, ritual soaps, sachets, powders, and all kinds of recipes. And then there are substitutions because there are herbs and things that have great magical properties that are in fact poisonous. And he will tell you what those things are. He will tell you, what things were traditionally used. Then he will tell you why you shouldn't use them and what you can substitute for them. So you get the straight shit from him. And it's just really good stuff. You'll get great recipes. Like if you're doing a ritual and you just have, your kitchen herbs, you can find a recipe in here for an incense for whatever you're celebrating or whatever magic you're trying to do that you can just pull out of your kitchen cupboard. I did that a lot when I was single momming it with a 1-year-old or an 18-month-old. And I was running Temple of Luna at the time, which was not Temple of Me, it's Temple of Her. I'm named after her, okay? And I would just go up to my kitchen cabinet and go, here's what I want. What do I have in my cupboard? And I would look each thing up. Okay, I can use this. I can use this. I can use this. So those were definite kitchen witch days. And I would make a little sachet. So I'd take like a circle of satin and sew it and put a drawstring through it and use, do an herbal mix that I would enchant and chant over and energize and all that kind of stuff. And I would wear it in the sachet. And the smell of it, smell is like in our deep primitive brain. It's a very, very deep sense, which is why it can bring up such intense memories because it goes to our kind of reptilian brain. And every time I would go and, smell that sachet, it would just reactivate the spell in my brain. Great thing to do. Hello, Mary. Hi, hi. Yes, Michelle, I love them too. So, does anybody have any questions about, anything? Here we are. It's full moon. Here we are. I don't even have a candle to light. I do have a candle back on my altar, but you know what? Fuck it. I'm lighting my candle. I'll be right back. And yes, of course, I'm going to light my candle on the fucking full moon. Good God. I've been saving, saving, saving. Usually I have, which way? Usually I've got 3 candles up on that altar, one on each side of the deity shelf. And yes, another video that I will do sometime is the tour of my altar. But I'm trying to work that out, how to do it, because I actually have a 50-foot USB extension cord so I can take my webcam over there with me. But to be doing that and trying to look back here at the monitor, I don't know. But I do want to do a tour of my altar at some point. So I usually have that altar like way lit up. And hold on a second. Woo. Okay. I lit up my moon. I have a full moon. But I haven't been doing that because I can't just run to the Dollar Tree and get candles. And this is my last candle. I don't even have like tea lights. So I think I'm going to have to, go ninja and make a trip to the Dollar Tree to get my candles again because, damn it, I can certainly do ritual without them, but I don't want to. Here you go. Wait. I'm offering you this smoke cleansing on the full moon. Do you have some sage? Light it up. All right, hold on. And let's see. Mitchell let himself out, so I had to close the door. So when I do my smoke cleansing, I pick my feet up and go underneath. So I'm going over top and underneath and everything else. And if I have a gown on, I will stand over it and let it all come up, because why not? Um, so, oh, I see her just peeking, just peeking. If it gets any brighter, I will definitely show you the moon again. But I can see just a smidgy of her. She looks like she's big and yellow tonight. Yay. So this is Scorpio moon. Um, we are, you know what? I'm going to pull up a chart here real quick. Because again, why the fuck not? And give you a little bit of a full moon reading here. Um, so many ideas I have in my head of what to do with this channel, and doing astrological readings is certainly one of them, but for some reason I just don't do much of it. All right, let me get to the lunar phase. And okay, let's see what we got here. First of all, let me do a little bit of a rearrange, because I can show you what I'm a looking at. And I'm going to change. Come on, darling. I think I'm asking too much of my poor computer. It's kind of freaking out a little bit here. Honey, what's happening? What I'm trying to do is, oh, here we go. Dealing with two monitors. Okay, now I can look here and give you the monitor. There we go. And I'll shut off my face cam too. Nope, I'll leave my face cam on. All right, here we go. Here is the full moon chart for where I am in Ohio. And this is at 6:45 tomorrow morning, so adjust that. I'm in Eastern Daylight Time, so adjust that for whatever time zone you're in. And of course, our time zones go Eastern Time Zone, and then the Central Time Zone is an hour later. But if you're doing charts across the longitude, it's a continuum. It's not just a jump for an hour later. So, the adjustments are much more incremental. But what we've got here is a Sun-Mercury conjunction, sitting in the 12th house, conjuncting the ascendant. So it's about, oh boy, psychic communication. 12th house Sun is deep psyche, awareness, consciousness of the deep psyche. And with Mercury sitting right there, the ability to bring that information out, hopefully. Of course, it's Scorpio moon, because we have a Taurus sun. Full moons are always the opposite sign of the sun. And that is in, well, like I said, I'm talking about these things conjuncting the ascendant, which probably won't be the case for anybody that's not where I am. It's going to be in a different place in the chart. So let's look at the aspects more than that. And oh, looky what I'm looking at down here. Down in the bottom right corner, do you see where my cursor is? Do you see this right here where it says fire? Goose egg. We have 0 planets in fire. We have 0. And this score down here includes from Guyana, South America. Hi, Lisa. It's very nice to see you here. Happy full moon. Blessed be. So we have a lack of fire, and this program that I use takes score not only of what signs the planets are in, but it also looks at the angles, the ascendant, descendant, midheaven, nadir, and what signs those are in. So we have 0 fire in this chart. Fascinating. I know that I have been feeling really tapped out lately. I have been getting very burnout on making masks. I had 3 days where I didn't even go to the sewing machine because I'm just fucking burnout. Um, I think we had this head of steam, everybody looking towards the beginning of May as, everything's going to be over with then. And then guess what? It's not. And, we relax our guard to our peril. And so, it's more of the same. We get to the beginning of May and spring is happening, and here we still are, unable to do the things that we usually do. So we have to do another period of adjustment of now, how do I be in this beautiful season of spring going into summer without being able to go out and get together with people? I might be able to go out and do some of the things that I used to do, but I can't get together with people. I can't have them gather at my house. That's the hard part. So this lack of fire could really be indicative of where we're all feeling just dull, just like somebody splatted us with another fucking wet blanket after all the crisis that we've been through. And it's this slow rolling, grinding crisis. From where I am, I haven't seen it up close and personal except through my nurse friend and talking about things going on at the hospital. But we're not in a hot spot. We are in a place where the governor shut things down early. And so, we haven't had that up close crisis, but this grinding slow, I said it's like it's like a slow, tedious roller coaster, you know, plenty of fear, but it's just like, you're trying to get to the top of the hill going, okay, I'm tired of screaming now. We also have a Jupiter Saturn conjunction. This is Jupiter in Saturn signs. So Jupiter, our expansiveness is being held back because it's under the rulership of Saturn right now. So we still have to be really structured, and we have to be limited in our expansiveness. We can't go out and be adventuresome. We have to be responsible and duty bound. So that's Jupiter being ruled by Saturn. And Saturn in Aquarius, where all bets are off. We're watching the structure of how we do things just kind of crash and burn. And in this particular chart, Saturn is sitting on the midheaven. So it comes into very high focus. So the focus is really about how the structure of our lives is changing, and changing over the long haul too, because this isn't just a 1 month thing. This is going to be for the long haul. And Aquarius is a fixed sign, even though it brings upheaval. It's a fixed sign. So it says things are slow moving and things are looking towards the future. So we're looking at how we're, restructuring our business for the future. With Pluto conjuncting Jupiter, I mean, this just really brings things, it shows how critical things are. That we rein in our expansiveness is a life or death matter. Pluto's life or death, So that's really critical. We've got Mars in Aquarius, so the people are very hair trigger, hot-headed. We've got all this energy built up with really no place for it to go. That can be sort of internally explosive. Jupiter or Mars in Aquarius can also make us really frantic, kind of stressed, frantic, twitchy energy. And I know that in my family, we've been having horrible headaches lately. And I think that a lot of that's just allergies, but we really need to get out and walk and be physically active, because we're home, but we're not lacking energy. We're not home sick. Fortunately, we're not sick, but So anyway, we've got looking at, a complete lack of fire, everybody feeling dull, unpassionate, uncreative. And then we've got this real strong predominance of earth and really strong predominance of fixity. So the fixity just says everything stays put, nothing is moving. We are feeling parked, we're feeling at a standstill and fireless. Wow. That is so graphic. The low score in Cardinals says we're unable to get things started right now. We're having a real hard time getting things started, new things started. Mutable energy says we don't have a lot of ability to adjust and adapt to things. So fixity is kind of like everything's parked, but we're also sort of digging in and saying, here's where I'm safe, here's where I'm going to stay put. So really interesting stuff. Astrological charts confuse me so much. Yes, me too. Me too. And I'm an astrologer. It's a boatload of information. It's a lifetime of learning. So yeah, and to be able to sit down and just like look at a chart and off the top of your head go, it has taken me the 35, 40 years to get here. So yes, astrology is a confusing thing, and that's why we have astrologers. So and you know, if you're ever interested in having a chart done or something, certainly put a comment on one of my videos. I'm way small enough that I see all the comments and I will respond to you and we can hook up. I can do a chart for you. I can do a card reading for you. We can make that happen. When I do readings, I usually do them over Skype. But now suddenly, after like nearly 2 years, Messenger has decided it can find my camera and my microphone again, so I can do Messenger readings and record through there as well. But you always get a video of your reading when I do a reading for you, so it's pretty cool. Anyway, let me put this back over there and put that back over here and take this out there and put that down there and no, darling, go away. Oh, fuck. Okay, there we go. Go, you go, you go, you go. Now you're seeing my Streamlabs. That's hilarious. Yes, Solar Fire, you stopped working because I'm closing you. So there's my Streamlabs. Look at that. If you ever wonder what my dashboard looks like here. So let's put our overhead cam back on and take off our monitor. There we go. So, oh, there, she's coming. She's a coming up. If I can see her a little, it's just a glimmer through the trees. If I can see her better as we go on, I will show her to you again. But, so does anybody have questions? If you do, please, please, please drop a question. I will try to answer it the best I can. I'm looking at how much of a lag I've got going on. Not too much. So interesting. I'm still learning about live streaming things, and I want to finish my live stream and not cut it off before I'm done. And that's what happens if I just click end when I'm done talking. So, wow, hour 20 minutes. That went fast. That went really fast. Tell me what your interests are. So I will definitely, I'm going to officially do this now on Wednesdays. I'm thinking a live stream will be the best thing. So this is what I'm going to do. And I picked Wednesdays because Wednesday is ruled by Mercury. So each of the days of the week has a planetary ruler. And how I remember them, I mean, some of them are easy. Monday, obviously that's moon. Sunday, obviously that's sun. Saturday, obviously that's Saturn. But when we get to Tuesday, then we're speaking a little different language. So I go to French. Lundi is Monday, Luna. Mardi is Tuesday is Mars. Mercredi, Wednesday is Mercury. Jeudi, Thursday is Jupiter. Vendredi, Friday is Venus. And samedi is Saturn. Saturday, Saturn, and Dimanche, Sunday. So that's how I remember. So I figured Wednesday would be a great day to do a thing about my library because it's communication, right? Mercury is words, it's books, it's writing, it's communicating, it's information. And so I thought Wednesday would be a really great day to do library tours. And I may, well, let's just see what happens going forward. But let's just say from here on out, I will be doing... Motherfucker. Sorry. I will be doing live streams on Wednesday evenings. So I'll make it Wednesday evenings. And I mean, I know a lot of people aren't even at work right now. They're home. So I could do them during the day, but people are still working from home. So I think in the evenings might be a good thing. So, okay. Anybody else here? Nobody got questions or anything like that? If that's the case, and I really can't get a good view of the moon to show you because there's enough leaves coming out at the top of the hill. Because she's just cresting the hill right now, and at the top of the hill there's a lot of shrubbery, so those are leafed out, and I don't get a really good view of her. Not a good enough one to show you anyway. But for this full moon, let's look at what we can do for this full moon and how to use this energy. Um, I would say look at how you can change the structure of how you do things. I know things that have changed for me. Um, how's this? There we go. Things that have changed for me. I know the way I shop has definitely changed. I know that my relationship with food is changing. I have been planning, my emergency food supply since I was in my teens. And the way I'm shopping to stock. We've stepped off our keto diet and remembered how badly a non-keto diet hurts. I can't eat wheat. If I eat wheat 2 days in a row, I have horrible diarrhea, and I used to have to go and get infusions like every month because I was constantly on the verge of being dehydrated from diarrhea from wheat. I ate a lot of soy over the weekend. That kills me too. So, we're going mostly back to keto, but not strict. So we're eating fruit, and I'm eating like carrots and root vegetables that you usually don't eat on keto. Um, but I'm noticing that there's not much waste in my house anymore. That when I'm making food and when I bring food into the house and vegetables, rather than what do we feel like eating tonight, because it's not so easy to run to the store, it's what do we need to use? What's fresh? And when somebody's cooking, we've got stuff in the freezer. It's like, nope, use the fresh first. So our the structure of our lives is changing in terms of our habits becoming more practical and becoming just more efficient. We're really becoming more efficient. And, there's the consideration of everything I do. Is this safe? Is this going to endanger me or my family or anybody else for that matter? Still making masks. Um, I was thinking about taking masks out with me, like taking a bag of them with me. And when I see people without masks, making the assumption that they don't have them rather than they're just assholes that don't wear them, and saying, do you need a mask? And then I'm seeing shit like, the person getting shot at Costco, shot and killed because they said you have to have a mask to come in. And I'm thinking, I don't want to hook a terrorist here. And people are getting fucking crazy. And let's say this because it's deep enough in this video that nobody's going to hang out this long if they're just trying to take me down, I think. But some of these fucking crazy Trump head Christians are they're terrorists, first of all, and they can't think, and they are self-selecting off this planet. They're going to be out there gathering and doing the fuck what they want to do. I saw that they are at Tiger King Sanctuary in masses. So guess what, y'all? You're the next wave, and see ya. And I was telling somebody today, I think this is the rapture that they've all been looking for, except it's this slow rolling, painful rapture where they don't get to take their bodies with them. So, here's the rapture. Off you fucking go. Bring the mothership down and take them away, because this is what's ruining our planet. Anyway, rant over. So yeah, what can you do with this sun in Taurus? Sun in Taurus is practicality. It's down to earth. Look at this. When the sun is in Taurus, what are we doing? We're planting. We're prepping our gardens. You're putting things in the earth. So Taurus is the preeminent earth sign. It's all about practicality. It's about getting seeds in the ground, getting your hands in the dirt. And with the Scorpio moon is intense emotions. So while you're digging in the dirt, process your feelings. Scorpio moon is hard. It's hard to process feelings. We feel things intensely. We feel them in extremes. We feel them in black and white. So be aware of that. This is, I guess the good part is this full moon, everybody's not out at bars drinking and getting in fights, because this is an intense full moon. The Scorpio full moon is when people get, really hot-headed with each other. Fortunately, it's also fixed signs, so things move a little bit more slowly. Anyway, process your emotions. Get practical, get down to earth, sit on the ground. One of the greatest things you can do when you're freaking out is go sit on the ground. And where I'm at right now, the ground is really fucking cold. We had a beautiful warm weekend. Come Friday, it's going to be in the 20s overnight. So I'm going to be covering my little potted plants out on my patio, and people that have plants in the ground, that put them in last weekend, better cover them, because it's could be a hard freeze. Um, Sorry, looking at the moon. She's peeking through again. So, what can you do with this? Process your emotions, plant your garden, plan your garden if you can't get it planted now. When we get to the Taurus new moon in a couple of weeks, and yeah, we didn't do a Taurus new moon yet, did we? Let's look here. Way I at? Okay. Yes. So the Taurus new moon is Friday the 22nd. The sun. No, 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 no. Okay, so we already had the Taurus new moon. So the next new moon is in Gemini. What you can do is when we get to that Gemini new moon, just wait a couple days till it goes into Cancer. And then when we're on the waxing Cancer moon is like the best time to plant. So if you can't take advantage of this Taurus wax, I mean, we're at the peak right now. You don't want to plant on a waning moon, so I'd say wait until the waxing moon in Cancer, which is going to be the 24th of May. So that weekend. And it seems like our seasons have changed to the point where springs have been long and cold, and then suddenly it's like, boom, we're into summer. So I know they've revised what zone I'm in because of the way climate change has been happening. At any rate, it is now an hour and a half, and I'm going to let you guys go. Thank you so much for showing up for me. Thank you for making me feel like I'm not here all by myself. Thank you for hitting the donate button. There's a little button down below that you can click. It's my Streamlabs button. It's connected to my PayPal account. And if you feel like throwing me a couple of dollars, it would be a great boost. And, you know, we are a low income family. I live on disability income, and times have been tough lately. So, you know, I'm not whining. We're certainly making it, but I would appreciate your support. That's what I will say. So, blessed be. Go off and do your rituals now. Go outside and see the moon if you can see her where you are. She's coming up. Oh, she's hiding. She's hiding in the trees. I'm probably going to go back out on my porch and make a toast to her and pour out a libation and whisper some prayers. And in those prayers are my prayers for your safety, for your blessing, for your growing spirituality and your growing understanding of your spirituality, and anything that I can do to help that. I'm really glad to be here talking to you about it. So again, I appreciate you all, and peace. Blessed be everybody. This is the Zen Witch. I will see you on Friday. Bye-bye. To be here talking to you about it. So again, I appreciate you all, and peace. Blessed be everybody. This is the Zen Witch. I will see you on Friday. Bye-bye.